Welcome one and all to the White Nova review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the New Japan Cup, which just concluded today. Today I wanted to show off the IWGP Heavyweight Championship title replica that I just got. As you can see, it's fairly large and it's pretty heavy as well. It's catching the light, I'm sorry, but it's metallic, not plastic. The jewels are very bright. The whole belt is kind of brighter than the actual belt that you see in New Japan, but overall, it's a pretty good replica. It's got Tanahashi's name on the nameplate. The side plates, just like the regular belt, have the names of previous title holders. Got it from JHOL for about $300 or so, but really good collection item. So if you're looking to collect, this is a very good starting piece, I think, especially if you want something to show your love for New Japan, as you know I will do. So today we're going to be looking at the 5 must-watch matches of the New Japan Cup tournament. I want to start off with our round 1 match, Yuji Nagata, Blue Justice, versus Tomohiro Ishii. Tomohiro Ishii is extremely consistent at delivering hard-hitting and fast-paced matches. That is fully encapsulates the fighting spirit attitude of New Japan. It's he's definitely one of these strong style guys that Japan is so well known for. Seeing him and Nagata just chop at each other and slap each other in the face, it never gets old. And this is the kind of match that Ishii can have with just about anyone. Ishii is, I don't want to call him underrated because he's got quite the fan base behind him, but without any major title wins, it's just amazing to see that he's capable of putting on such amazing matches, and he's only had 2 shots at the IWGP title before against Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada, which I will be getting to another one of those matches very briefly here. Next, one of the matches that you got to see. These next 3 happened in round 2. So this is a really good round for matches. We had Will Ospreay taking on Lance Archer in one of the best matches I've ever seen Lance Archer in my life. It was a great David versus Goliath kind of feel. Ospreay is being his old Ospreay self. He's bouncing around. His character at this moment is going through a bit of a renaissance. He's taken on the Assassin's Creed kind of aesthetic. He's got a new finisher that he calls the Hidden Blade, where he just does this vicious back forearm to the back of someone's head. He debuted this at Wrestle Kingdom against Kota Ibushi. It's what won him the Never Openweight title, and is what is putting him through a lot of these good matches here. The story of this match was that Archer was just too big and too beefy for any of Ospreay's offense to really finish him off. Archer had kicked out of the Oscutter. I think he tried to hit him with the Hidden Blade and it just didn't work. Then he tried to go for his Stormbreaker, which is another one of his finishers, which is a power finisher, as the announcers were calling it. He lifts his guy up on his shoulders and then spins him off into the ground. He tried going for this earlier in the match, and Archer was just too big for it. He couldn't get him up. He couldn't hold him up. So this looked like if he could hit the Stormbreaker, he was going to win. The problem was he couldn't, and he wasn't going to be able to because Archer was just too big. But as they continued their vicious brawl, Archer got on the top rope for something. Ospreay caught him and actually used the ropes as leverage to hold him up on his shoulder and hit the Stormbreaker there for a quick win. Absolutely one of the best showings of Lance Archer. He has been teaming with Davey Boy Smith Jr. for a very long time. It's good to see him doing some single stuff. Archer he's big and he's fast. If I had to compare him to anyone, I would say Baron Corbin, because he's just so slick with some key moves. And he's just very good at being a big guy. So definitely someone to watch out for because I think he's a sleeper hit in New Japan. Will Ospreay did his Will Ospreay stuff. That's about all I can really say on that matter. Next up, we had Colt Cabana and Yano Toru, or Toru Yano, sorry. This is a good match to seek out because both of these guys are just comedy wrestlers, and it was a very good break in pace for everyone who's been following the bracket. Getting to see Colt Cabana and Toru Yano face off with one another, you knew it was going to be just a treat and something that you could just shut your brain off and enjoy for the 10 minutes that it was going to happen. And it was. They did this big thing where Colt tried to get Yano to play by the rules, and Yano just wasn't having any of it. Colt got the referee involved. There was a spot where Colt got the tape out that he took it away from Yano, and he actually used it to tape up the turnbuckle pad in the corner so that Yano couldn't take it off. And it's hard to talk about this match because a lot of what makes the comedy great is just the expressions that Yano and Cabana have. It's not just that they're doing funny things, but the way that they're reacting to these things happening. The way Yano reacted to the turnbuckle pad being taped up was just absolutely hilarious and wonderful. And it's definitely something to seek out to break some tension that can come from a lot of these tense and a very emotional wrestling matches. Next up, another round 2 match, actually the same night as Cabana and Yano. Minoru Suzuki versus Sonata. I have absolutely loved every match that these guys have been involved with one another. Their stories are so similar, it makes me wonder why it took so long for this to happen. But Suzuki and Sonata are both students who admire their teachers. For Suzuki, it's Karl Gotch, and for Sonata, Keiji Muto. Both of them have vicious submission hold finishers that they could use to win matches, but more often than not, rather than taking the submission, they want to wear their opponent down to where they are knocked out, and will then go for the finishing move to pay homage to their trainer. For Suzuki, he tries to go for the Gotch-style pile driver. For Sonata, he goes for the Muta moonsault. And sometimes it works to their detriment. And they've both lost some matches because of this, because of their obsession with paying tribute to their mentors. So it's very interesting to see them go at it. Sonata's deadpan, way too cool to be a part of anything expression perfectly complements Suzuki's over-the-top villainous style. Seeing them in the ring is just an absolute delight. It was a very technical match, lots of working body parts, but just coming off of Cabana and Yano, you're ready for something like this, for something a little bit more technical. It wasn't as exhaustive or boring to follow as if you had watched something else prior to that. You watched your fun wrestling, now it's time for the real gritty wrestling, and it was just an absolute treat. Let's see. And then really want to give a big highlight to Tomohiro Ishii versus Kazuchika Okada. As you may or may not know, Kazuchika Okada actually did go on to win the New Japan Cup. Congratulations, Rainmaker. But before he could do that, he had to go through fellow Chaos stablemate Tomohiro Ishii. Now, Ishii had beaten Okada before in the G1, and there was this big following about how Okada had been ducking Ishii. This idea that Ishii wasn't getting a heavyweight shot against Okada for so long while Okada was the champion, that because they were in the same stable together. Then Switchblade Jay White joined Chaos and started challenging that notion, and you kind of got this feeling that he was stirring the pot of Chaos a little bit. Since his defection to the Bullet Club, there had been there'd been a lot of people wondering, is Chaos okay? How are they handling this? And that really just falls to how Okada is going to handle the stable as the de facto leader at this point. And you can kind of see throughout this tournament, Ishii was doing his fair share of making sure everyone in Chaos was focused on improving themselves as well. He had a great match with Yoshihashi in the quarterfinals, where he basically just pushed Yoshi to be better than he has been, to stop slacking off, to really start applying himself, or he's not going to make it in the business of wrestling. And Okada having to step up and actually face Ishii, a man who had beaten him before, a man who is part of his faction, a man whose respect he absolutely needs to keep. It was a big task for the Rainmaker, who's really on a redemption story right now, trying to bring that IWGP heavyweight title back to Chaos. So these two had a wonderful match. It felt like the wrestling equivalent of fencing. So much of it was really just trying to style on one another, trying to say, hey, you know what? I'm better than you. Usually it would be playful slaps to the face or kicks to the head. And I know it's so strange calling those things playful, but that's just the dynamic that comes with wrestling. This was a match I watched so many times and took a lot of snap videos because Okada really seems to improve just by being exposed to Ishii. Ishii is a stone pitbull, but he also feels like a wedding stone, where Okada was able to sharpen and hone himself against the dull stone that is Ishii's head, because Ishii headbutted Okada so many times in this match, sometimes blocking the Rainmaker with a headbutt. It was such a cool thing to see. When Okada finally landed a Rainmaker that floored Ishii, he was able to get the win. And Okada just laid there. And Ishii is completely knocked out. He's feeling the effects of the hard-hitting match. He's feeling the effects of all the matches before this one as well. He's exhausted. And he's beaten. Okada is triumphant, but rather than celebrating victory, he instead bows to the almost unconscious body of Ishii, as if he's saying, thank you. Thank you. You're the real MVP. You are the reason I could be so great because you gave me everything. You don't hold back. I will not let you down. I'm going to win this tournament, and I'm bringing this title back to Chaos. It was such a wonderful moment because he helped Ishii up, raised Ishii's hand, gave him all of the applause, and then he addressed the crowd as he needed to. It was a wonderful moment, and it's one of those aspects about wrestling that I just absolutely love to see, that these moments, while predetermined, are able to be mass manufactured in such a genuine way because these people really have legitimate feelings for each other behind the curtain. So it was a really cool thing to see, and absolutely just emotional. And I was kind of getting choked up just thinking about it again. Absolutely go watch that match. Any one of these 5 matches that I had named, Ishii versus Nagata, Ospreay versus Archer, Cabana versus Yano, Suzuki versus Sanada, Ishii versus Okada. These are absolutely matches that you need to see to get a taste of everything that New Japan has to offer for wrestling fans. It's something that we should be paying attention to. They're coming to Madison Square Garden on WrestleMania weekend. I'm going to be watching the show. I will be back later on in about 2 weeks' time in order to cover that show as well. Hope to see you all again soon. Thank you very much.